We are celebrating Disability Pride Month here on ABC News Live. The World Health Organization estimates that 1.3 billion people live with a disability worldwide. In the U.S., that number is at least 70 million, and that's according to the CDC. But despite the challenges, many are breaking through to create new opportunities in work, innovation, and access. We want to highlight one of those groups today. It's called Together International, and it works to empower entrepreneurs with disabilities. We're joined now by the group's founder and CEO, Diego Mariscal. Diego, thank you so much for joining us today. Curious, tell us what made you start Together International.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me. Really appreciate being here. As you mentioned, I'm the founder of Together International, and it really started from my own personal experience. I grew up with cerebral palsy, and I really struggled to get a job the traditional way. And I also grew up surrounded by entrepreneurs, and I saw a lot of similarities between the disability experience and the entrepreneurship experience. When you think about it, as disabled people, we have to figure out how do you get dressed, how you drive, how you communicate. And those are characteristics that are also similar to those who are entrepreneurs. And so capitalizing on that was the basis of Together International.
Diego, you talked about this being birthed out of your own experience, but what are some of the challenges entrepreneurs with disabilities face most often?
Many challenges. I think one of the most critical challenges is certainly the limitation that society views on people with disabilities. The fact that the disability community is the largest minority in the world, and yet we face one of the highest levels of unemployment, critically shows how the workforce particularly hasn't caught up to include folks with disabilities. And that's why entrepreneurship is oftentimes the only path for employment for people with disabilities.
Diego, can you share with us one of the many success stories from Together International? What really stands out to you?
Absolutely. One of my favorite stories is Eric Ingram, who is actually a board member of Together, but he started as just an entrepreneur who had an idea of doing satellite inspection in space, and has since raised millions of dollars for that initiative, and went on to really step up and transition the company into another CEO. So really showing the breadth of not only disability related innovations, but innovations in outside of the disability space as well.
And it's truly incredible to see. All right, Diego, put the call out there. How can we all better support disability inclusion all year round?
Absolutely. So when you think about it, disability is, like I said, the largest minority in the world, and the minority group that any of us can become a part of at any point in time. So as we're thinking about innovation more broadly, as we're thinking about how do we rebuild, for example, what's happening in Texas, et cetera, really thinking about how do we make sure that we are including people with disabilities from the beginning, and having that perspective in mind is going to ensure that innovation technology is inclusive for everybody, not just for those with disabilities.
So true. Diego Mariscal, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for the incredible work that you do.
Thank you for having me.